now onto the big, I call them the big three. They're kind of big picture questions. We talked a lot about, Eastman specifically, but, you're from Brookline, I believe. And then, you came to Rochester, spent some time in Rochester. So for you, what made Rochester such, a great place for artists and original music to be as strong as it was?
Well, it's the home in a jazz sense. It has been the home of a lot of great players. Was then, is now, and so stepping into that, the city I came from, Boston, had probably plenty of really good jazz players, but it didn't have that kind of community. Maybe because it's a bigger city, or maybe per capita less really special players. But actually, the Rochester Buffalo area was noted then for having a really great jazz scene. And to be plunked down into the middle of that was pretty cool for me. Although I didn't envision myself coming out of classical music school, coming out of it being a jazz player when I hadn't been a jazz player going into it. But that's what happened. It took a little bit of a turn left. Let me say also that Rochester has had and has a great orchestra, the Rochester Phil. And I was really lucky to get in it, to be a member of it, and lucky in a personal sense. But because I was young when I got into it, I found after a year or two that it really I wasn't as much dying to be an orchestral player as I thought I had been through most of my life up till then. So that's very nice to find at an early age rather than at a later age, and to be able to turn a little bit left figuratively and try some other things. And I found I really craved, or I really enjoyed being the only bass player in the jazz and rock bands that I was in, as opposed to being one of 8 bass players playing great music, the greatest music. But so that was a lucky thing for me and part of my Rochester experience. There were great players. It was a great school and I had a great education there. And equally, I was exposed to a lot of friends and friends and colleagues who are great musicians in different genres. And that was very good for me artistically and personally.
Beautiful. Next one, we've kind of touched a lot upon what you have done, but what do you want to do? What's kind of the next thing that you want to accomplish that you can kind of call the next feather in your cap, or like the next thing that Tony Levin wants to do in his musical career?
That's a very good question. Thank you. I have to preface it by saying that the top thing on my bucket list, if you'd call it, was to do a really high quality coffee table size photo book of the best pictures of all my years on the road. And 2020, for all the challenges it presented, did allow me to do that. So I spent June till December doing that, and it's called Images from a Life on the Road. And I was able to finally release that book. Otherwise, that would have been what I would say. I would say, so one of these days, I'm going to have time to do that. With that gone, and with COVID putting question marks and asterisks in front of everything we plan, I'm going to say I hope to keep touring with the many bands I tour with. I hope Peter Gabriel, by the way, will finish his album and maybe tour. That would be fantastic, because I'm not only in his band, I'm a fan and I crave more Peter music. I hope King Crimson keeps touring and keeps doing what we tour. Stickman for sure will do that, and Levin Brothers will do that. And I'm way overdue for a solo album. So if you ask me what project it is that I'm looking forward to doing, it's that. And if I can't tour, it's a wonderful problem to have, that a whole lot of touring for a player keeps you from doing that album that you wanted to write at home. So I'm a lucky guy that I've been touring. And if the touring eases up, then I'll get to work on a solo album.
One last thing for you. Do you have any advice for aspiring musicians?
I've been asked that before. And yeah, I'm going to say it's a strange thing I'm going to present. It happens to all of us in our careers that there are setbacks. You'll do an album and you look forward to it coming out, and you'll find that you've been replaced, that somebody else is in it, or you'll be in a band and you're replaced in the band. We joke about the different ways to let people know they're not. Me and the boys have been talking, and we think you're ready for your solo career, is the joke that comes up. That I'm making fun of it, but it really hits you hard. You will find, or you have found, when your music isn't wanted, and it's easy to take it personally. And unfortunately, that seems to be a part of the business or the career of being a musician. And so even though it's not ending on a positive note, I think the best thing I can really convey to starting out musicians is that happens to all of us and has happened. And what's best is to find some way to process it, not take it too personally, remember what I said, that it happened not only early in my career, it happened all through my career, and to the Steve Gadd and to the great players I played with. So it's part of what's there, and try to take it in stride and not let it spoil the appreciation of the wonderful opportunity to make music.